Can you throw some light on how Alamara got lost, or any story behind the loss of the film? Because it's very, since it's the first talkie film, how come, our guys couldn't trace the film, or only photographs are there, and then Mathur Bhai had to reconstruct with Jagjit singing for 20 minutes? It's a different format, but how come they lost a film? you know it's very difficult to digest.
Yeah, most of the films are of the silent era, and also prior to setting up of National Film Archives were destroyed. They got lost because films were inflammable. Yeah, there was fire, and also these films have been are highly they're made on highly inflammable material. Also, people were not very fully sure of preservation. In fact, so because you saw in My Name Is Indu, they used silver in making of the films. So actually, old films were then stripped off silver, nitrate, and yeah. So I don't know about the specific story about loss of Alamara, but it shares this fate with lots of other films which it does not exist. Well, the film material as such, Kodak has also stopped manufacturing. They have stopped. So a lot of, maybe you'd like to speak a little more.
In the Hindustan Photo Company films as well as Kodak, now they stop their productions, and the Kodak studio also stopped the production of films. Only the Kodak auditorium is there where the Oscar awards function are being held.
And there is one surviving lab in Chennai which are still processing
Prasad.
films, but they are the only ones, and
LV
they,
Prasad's film.
they also have very
Lab.
limited stock.
Yeah.
So yes, they are. Sorry,
Hey,
I'm not fully aware of it. Maybe somebody else can throw a little more light on that. So they're converting from digital to the film format.
That is the film lab. In one with Mohit Shetty and all at Q Lab. You mean Manmohan Shetty? He gave. IMAX Matala is. So that is what is that quality lab. That is the Q Lab.
Anything else that you have to say about the chronology of film, or any response? Any filmmakers here who might be inspired to, or interested, or in making or reconstructing a film? Yeah, okay. The lady there. Which film do you have in mind, sir? Any particular film that you have in mind? Mm-hmm. Before 1947.
The Indian talkies movie, so that the one which we saw, so that was just about the history of Indian movies, or was there any other, like any specific focus within that history?
You saw the film, right?
Yeah, my question is
19 after 50 years, as you know, the film was Alamara was released in 1931, and after 50 years of release of the film, as you know, the silver jubilees and golden jubilees are celebrated. Perhaps the mandate of this film was to look at the Indian talkies, celebrating 50 years of the Indian talkies. But as you saw in the film, it became a kind of a tribute film to talkies and the tradition which followed of talkie films, and how they influenced, especially in shaping up language, linguistic turn that it gave to film, and also when songs and other performances became more important. As you saw, more and more dialogues and more dances became more important than just the cinematographic nuances of a film, which was perhaps the hallmark of the silent era. So the film traced a kind of a history of talkies from Alamara and thereon, whereas the other film was a complete trying to reconstruct the.
yeah, because we feel like few directors and other film personalities were interviewed there.
Right.
So we
In
feel that-
1981.
So that was as of 1981.
Yeah, because after 50 years of 1931, this film was made. So whoever was the filmmaker must have thought for the most important voices of that time. And many of them have been interviewed in there. Of course, discussing about the themes and what has happened to cinema in general. Yeah, because Kafi Azmi wrote the lyrics Dastan for it and Jagjit Singh sang it.
This came out more for the present time. Alamara and that was not that very
Right. I also found the film very interesting in the way it reconstructed the film, which is, of course, going by the richness of the costumes and even the positioning of some of these photographs, the visual composition. I thought the original film must have been very rich, both in its cinematography and also in maybe it's in songs and whatever has been written about it. Some people have recalled it, people who have actually seen it, that they recalled it, and that has been recorded in various literatures, in books or in articles, that it became a rage because, for the first time people could hear the songs and not just live performances of music.